Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Actions have consequences, obviously. And sometimes when you do something to someone else, and someone else feels like he or she got hurt, their reaction could be obviously negative towards you. Well, what happened? Let me show you. This is an article coming from Associated Press. Russia says it no longer will abide by its self-imposed moratorium on intermediate-range missiles. What does that mean? That means Russia can deploy wherever is allowed by the countries where it wants to deploy intermediate-range missiles. Why? In response to our, which is their, actions. All right, let me read you. Let me read you this little article here. I have two more. One from Sputnik. Russia removes restrictions on deploying ground-based missiles. This is 5 hours ago, today on the 5th of July. And Russia no longer considers itself bound by nuclear treaty with the United States. Ura! What does it mean? If you deploy your missiles, I deploy my missiles. All right. Russia has declared that it no longer considers itself bound by a self-imposed moratorium. So they said, you know what? We're nice. We will self-impose. We'll impose it on ourselves. We won't do this. We won't. I don't think it's right. And now it says, well, things changed. Why? Because of you. So, let's see what else. On a deployment of nuclear-capable intermediate-range missiles, warning that potentially sets the stage for a new arms race as tensions between Moscow and Washington rise again over Ukraine. In a statement Monday, the Russian Foreign Ministry linked the decision to efforts by the US and its allies. So this is why they say, you guys, US and the allies, develop intermediate-range weapons and prepared for their deployment in Europe. So, who cast the first stone? US and its vassal states. Why? US will deploy its weapons in the countries that are their vassal states. I will show you on the map what does that mean. For their deployment in Europe and other parts of the world, that means China, obviously, and North Korea. It specifically cited US plans to deploy Typhoon and Dark Eagle missiles in Deutschland starting next year. Germany is an occupation, is a country under occupation until its balls were snipped in 1945. So far, this is the map. And the map shows Europa. And we have Deutschland. Deutschland used to be great right here. And Ruski Russia is right here. Right there. Right? So this is Russia. They want to deploy it here. Well, the Russians, I suspect, will deploy it right here, in Kaliningrad. They already deployed, I think, some Kinzhals, capable of, delivering some nuclear strikes and tactical nuclear weapons somewhere in the area. Or in Belarus. If they deploy in Belarus their Oreshnik, remember, these guys over here, from far, far away, they are deploying here. So these guys fight with one another. They don't have a problem here. No, they hope this is going to happen everything here. We protect them right here, okay? With our weapons that we're going to test. Beautiful. The ministry noted that such actions by the United States and its allies, there's no allies, it's just a pack that is attacking some victim now, after which they disband for the next attack, maybe on one of their own. Create destabilizing missile potentials near Russia, creating a direct threat to the security of our country, and carry significant harmful consequences for regional and global stability, including a dangerous escalation of tensions between nuclear powers. Now, remember this? I want you to remember so far this. This is Russia reacting to the acting. So when the media operatives in the West will tell you that Russia did this and deploys missiles, it's because it's a reaction to what we already have done. Okay? And we're about to do it in Germany. Got that? That's the first point. The second one, the words the Russians used here will be the words the Americans will use then. But their words then will be legitimate, but the Russians' words here will not be legitimate. You understand? This is a reaction, and they say, we feel threatened by your deployment. We gotta do it. You can't be threatened because we're the good guys. We have guns and shit, but we're the good guys somehow, okay? But when the bad guys, the designated bad guys by us, are gonna do the same thing as a reaction, we're gonna use the same words, and I'm gonna read them to you so you remember them. So I'm going to switch to the actions by the ministry. This is, let's say, the Secretary of State of the United States of America will say that the actions by the Russians and its allies, maybe, I don't know, Belarus, create destabilizing missile potentials near Europe, in Eurasia, creating a direct threat to the security of Europe and the United States of America, and carries significant harmful consequences for regional and global stability, including a dangerous escalation of tensions between nuclear powers. They will use the same words, but their words will be acceptable. The Russians, no. You know how I know this? I tell you how I know this. Every time the United States of America wants to smack somewhere around the globe, they will find something and they will claim we have to do it because our national security interests are at stake. We have to. It's in our interest and our national security, wherever they say it is. On all this planet, there's no way for you to hide. They're gonna find you. All right. So this has been their policy. Last one was what? Was in Ukraine. And when the Russians said the same thing, hey, you are close, you are, our national security right here is a national threat right here, strategic threat, what did the other guy say? We don't care. So the Russians enter Ukraine. Oh my God, look what the bad dudes did here. You did not take into consideration their concerns at all. But they will have to when you're going to cry like a bitch. That's what's going to happen. You're going to see. Let's move on. It didn't say what specific moves the Kremlin might take. I tell you, we don't have to. You see here, they will deploy probably in Kaliningrad. They will probably deploy in Belarus, Oreshnik. They might deploy even right here in Cuba. They could do it in Nicaragua, right here. They can do it in Venezuela, right here. Okay, got it? These are the consequences. I guarantee you that. All right, but President Vladimir Putin has previously announced that Moscow was planning to deploy its new Oreshnik missiles on the territory of its neighbor and ally Belarus later this year. Asked where and when Russia could potentially deploy intermediate range weapons, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said, "It's not something to be announced in advance, man." And I'm quoting, Russia no longer has any limitations. Russia no longer considers itself to be constrained by anything. Therefore, Russia believes it has the right to take respective steps if necessary. Got it? So whose fault is this? These guys is arrogance. They pushed too far and Russia can smack back. They don't want to play ball anymore. The Russians don't want to play ball. I mean, really, you want to pull a Gaddafi on Putin and you expect Putin to call you, as you still call them, Western partners? Fuck me, Freddy. All right, let's move to the next article. I have a problem with that, obviously. So what do we have here? We have here the following. Russia removes restrictions on deploying ground-based missiles. Clearly, we don't have any more restrictions. There are no longer any restrictions on this matter in Russia. Russia no longer considers itself constrained in any way. You got it, my friends? That's it. Next one. Russia no longer considers itself bound by nuclear treaty with US. Why? Conditions for maintaining a, and I'm quoting, unilateral moratorium, that means only in our direction, on the deployment of intermediate range missiles have disappeared. Moscow no longer considers itself bound by the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces INF Treaty with the US, as the necessary conditions for it have disappeared, according to a statement from Russian Foreign Ministry. Now, the INF Treaty banning ground-launched missiles with ranges of 500 to 5,500 kilometers. You can't reach the United States with that. That's why the US is very happy, eager big beaver to deploy in here. Because from, let me tell you this, from Kaliningrad, it's more than 5,000 kilometers to here. So they will in the Atlantic. Okay, you want another sound? All right. In 2019, when the US withdrew, citing Russian violations, Moscow has denied the claims, accusing the US itself of developing banned missiles. They both developed, let's put it mildly. Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned that the collapse of the INF will significantly erode the global security framework. All right, the Russian Foreign Ministry notes the disappearance of conditions for maintaining the unilateral moratorium. According to the ministry, the actions of the Western countries are creating a direct threat to Russian security. There you go. That's exactly what the Americans will do, will say, when the Russians will do what these guys will do. It also noted that last year the US deployed, last year the US already did it, deployed a Typhoon missile launcher in the Philippines. The statement also referenced the Talisman Sabre exercise in Australia, where the US Army also fired Typhoon. The Typhoon is a mobile ground-based launcher designed to launch Tomahawk cruise missiles, range up to 1,800 kilometers, and SM-6 multi-purpose missiles, range up to 500 kilometers. You got it? So thank you very much. This is what these guys don't take into consideration. They think that they can do whatever they want. Too soon, the other guys are also tough. And they think the other guys will not react because they interpreted Putin's, how should I put it nicely? Another way I would really like to put it. Not inactivity, but mild response, balanced response, self-restrained response, self-controlled response as weakness. And they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. And now is a smackdown. And they're all surprised. What? No, you're not supposed to. Because 3 years ago you were a baby, we thought. And unfortunately the Russians took off their gloves in Africa, in Asia, in South America, all over the place. And these guys don't like it. And the Russians, I guarantee you, have more aces in their sleeves than the Americans. Why? Because every time when you attack, the other country doesn't react, you expose your capabilities by attacking, by expanding. Your tactics are for everybody to understand and see. So they will develop defense mechanisms. But you don't know what the Russians have because you don't see them in attacking. But they saw you. So already they kind of know what you can do. But you know nothing maybe about what the other guys can do. That's a big problem. When you hear the Americans, we're going to do this to you, we're going to do this, yeah, we're going to do this, but did you take into consideration what the other guys could do to you? And they were like, no. Why? Because they're narcissists. They think that they can get away with things because these guys did not react as they acted for various reasons. We're weak, now they're stronger. That's one of them. The second was like, hey guy, let's be reasonable. We're not going to be reasonable. That's America in the parking lot. Drunk with a little dip here and a loaded shotgun. Everybody else, a few countries over there have the same kind of shotgun. But like, man, are we going to start? We start? No? Hey, oh, stop. Hey, Gigi, hey, Mikey, tone down. That's how it is, my friends. And these guys now say, okay, you're too close. You're too loose for us. So we're going to get you in our sights and we're going to back the fuck off. And Americans are like, what? They're all scared now. Not scared, surprised that the other guys are not only willing, but capable of retaliating. That is, when you go to a fight, ignoring the opponent's capabilities. Ignoring them, you think, I have all this, I don't care what he has. Really? He can knock the fuck out of you. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So just so you know, when that will happen, and you're gonna hear the media operatives telling you how bad the Russians are endangering this planet, remember this fucking video. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.